couple weeks ago, Goo and I were chatting, and he had been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. And he was a big fan of the original. I am also a big fan of the original, but I'm also very stubborn. And so I was just like, you know what, Goo? I'm not playing this because it's bollocks that they remade this game, but it's only like the first 5 or 10% of that game. I was very unimpressed by that. Still kind of am. But my infamous words at the time, which I believe are recorded and available to patrons of Virtual Theater, were, that would be like remaking Ocarina of Time and having the entire game take place in Kokiri Forest. But then I got the game, beat it, and I was like, Gooey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I got to eat some crow now because like this is great. And I was like, well, I feel like I got to make a game that's like based on Kokiri Forest now in Ocarina of Time. So that, by God, is what we are doing today. I'm gonna pitch Gooey on a game that I have remade. I've remade just the Kokiri Forest portion of Ocarina of Time, and I'm going to try and sell him and sell all you listeners on this game. And I just want to echo what you said before I get into my pitch here. I think I never want to see Ocarina of Time remade in just Kokiri Forest.
They shouldn't do this.
They should not do this.
But
it's
if
a bad
they
idea.
did.
But if they did,
I love it.
This is what it might look like. And so I want to set a couple precedents right off the bat here. So like this is not a remake in the sense of like we're just making the existing Kokiri Forest look prettier. This is like you take Kokiri Forest and you completely redo it. It's like we're talking like this is now a region that's kind of akin to Breath of the Wild. Like this is like the Great Plateau, or like this is like the Hebra region, or like that's kind of the scope that Kokiri Forest has to be in order for this to work. So for anybody listening that's poo-pooing on this idea before we even get going,
that's gonna happen no matter what. But
yeah, I mean you're right.
Let's cover our tracks a little bit.
Probably justifiably so. This is a terrible idea, but
great way to start your pitch.
Well, I was never expecting to have to make this pitch because when I so brazenly said that this would be like remaking Kokiri Forest, I was expecting to really not love Final Fantasy VII.
You got owned. That's what happened.
I did. I'm thinking of it now, and I'm like, man, this is probably going to be my game of the year. That's embarrassing.
Oh no!
All right, but I just want to make it very clear that we're taking some liberties with what happened in the original Ocarina of Time's opening salvo here. It's completely redone. Characters are re-expanded. We're taking the base inspiration and using that as our canvas, if you will. So stay with me, okay? But I have come up with 16 chapters for my remake here. It features, I want to say it features 4 dungeons, or maybe 5 dungeons, and it takes place all in Kokiri Forest, and this kind of mirrors Final Fantasy VII Remake, because Final Fantasy VII Remake takes place over 18 chapters, and they're all kind of like self-contained things. So I stuck with that kind of similar format just to kind of help the progression of the story here. But here we go. Chapter 1, I called it Old Friends. So Link wakes up, and he finally finds a fairy. And the first thing that he has to do is go and tell his best friend, Saria, about this fairy. So she lives on the other side of the forest. So you know what? Chapter 1 can be just kind of an intro to the world. Link can run around and meet people. And I'm kind of envisioning that, again, Kokiri Forest is really big. So like in order to... It'd be like running from one side of the Great Plateau to the other side. And there's like... You can run off and do a bunch of different stuff and whatever. But Chapter 1 will eventually end when you finally make it to Saria's house, and she gives you a Deku Shield as a reward.
Okay, so
it's pretty standard Chapter 1.
It's like story, not combat, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we don't get to combat for a little bit here, so stay with me.
This is a hard sell already, because Final Fantasy starts like action right away, but
it does. It very much does. And this is the challenging part because you don't have a sword yet in Kokiri Forest.
That's true. Maybe you could have some maybe this is if you'll allow me to augment, maybe, you could find some Deku sticks and mess around with those.
That's kind of what I was thinking, like, because I don't think that you can wait until the end of chapter 3 to get it. So I was like, okay, maybe you could have a stick, or like you could pick up stuff or clubs or whatever, like in Breath of the Wild. Like you can have different
Yeah,
items and stuff. So you can still fight enemies and whatever, but like just not with a sword.
that's actually
So
kind of
I
fun.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, so chapter 2 is called The Forest. And Link, Navi, and Saria all venture out to the entrance of the Deku Tree, where Mido denies them entry unless Link finds a sword to go and see him. So Link also meets Fado, the Know-It-Alls, and basically all the other members of Kokiri Forest in this time. And like this is where all of these guys that he meets offer up side quests. You can go and do like, you can do like your kind of intro side quests. You can collect some stuff, you can fight off some enemies, learn a little bit more about the different parts of the map and stuff like that. But eventually, once you've got all your side quests done and you're ready to, the chapter ends with Link finding the Sword Maze dungeon. So
Oh,
that
okay.
once he goes into this dungeon. So that's chapter 2, and there's one or two, maybe even 3 chapters here which are like more focused on side quests than actual story itself, which is kind of like what Final Fantasy VII did. Like there's some chapters in there where like you can end the chapter really quickly if you want to, but like the side quests open up in that particular chapter.
Yeah, they kind of give you the option to like, I don't want to do those.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that could be cool. I like you could give all these like random, Kokiri Forest NPCs some little extra dimension, like some side quests and stuff. I like that.